flooding, high winds, and tornadoes.
The most frightening thing I've ever lived through.
The damage left behind by Milton.
I'm not going to wait on FEMA.
Speeding up the process. The help available for Tennesseans impacted by Helene. Testing trouble. Why mid-state teachers say new standards are stretching already limited resources too thin. Fox 17 News at 9 starts now.
Middle Tennessee's only primetime news. This is Fox 17 News at 9, your Code Red station.
An absolute mess. This is the state of Florida tonight as we get a better understanding of the damage done by Hurricane Milton. At least 14 people are dead. That death toll could go up as first responders continue searching storm-ravaged areas. The Coast Guard rescuing one man swept out into the Gulf of Mexico using a cooler to stay afloat. Good evening, I'm Megan O'Halloran. Not only are people dealing with the damage left behind from Hurricane Milton, but also the storm spawning dozens of tornadoes across the state. Many of those considered strong. The National Weather Service tracking 38 reported tornadoes. The state of Florida getting 50 total tornadoes a year. Hurricane Milton making a deadly impact, slamming into Florida's west coast as a Category 3 hurricane. Lee Waldman is in Sarasota, Florida, where recovery is just beginning.
Oh my God! There's water in our car!
Sheer terror can be heard in the voice of Angie Dooley while fleeing her home as water levels rose to dangerous levels by 4 a.m. Thursday in Daytona Beach.
I can tell you, we are in for a long recovery.
Hurricane Milton cut a path of destruction through Florida, carrying boats ashore, toppling 18-wheelers, and destroying homes. But the greatest tragedy seems to have taken place in St. Lucie County, about 150 miles from landfall, where multiple tornadoes ravaged the area.
Tornadoes on the ground ripping through our county in a northern direction, leaving hundreds of homes devastated, completely totaled. And it unfortunately struck a retirement community that was mainly modular homes where we did have loss of life.
Volusia County extending a curfew overnight Thursday.
Please, this is not the time for our citizens and our visitors here to Volusia County to be out on the roads.
While many residents are eager to get back home, gas shortages are still an issue, with nearly 1 in 5 stations running dry during evacuations. Ships and tankers are working to refill those stations in the next 48 hours. Relief much needed, as Milton is the third hurricane to hit Florida this year.
The fact that these two storms have impacted the same area, our hearts go out to those people that are impacted. It's very difficult to go through something like this.
In Sarasota, Florida, I'm Lee Waldman.
An update now on a family in Florida that we told you about last night, hunkering down during Hurricane Milton. The Rogers in Cape Coral are doing okay, and thankfully so is their home. They do still have power, which means their diabetic daughter can take her insulin. Milton did damage their nearby business.
What's needed most is efficient response.
All eyes are on Milton. Parts of the east in Tennessee are still dealing with the destruction from Hurricane Helene. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee says immediate help is on the way with the HEAL program. This is to fill the gap as the federal relief process can take time. Fox 17 News' Karen Aguilar joining us live from the state capitol with how this all works. Karen?
Governor Lee says there are a lot of needs in East Tennessee, especially the northern part, some as basic as people not having clean drinking water.
It's been 2 weeks since Hurricane Helene ripped through East Tennessee, and it still looks like this. Gutted homes, destroyed bridges, crumbling roads, piles of debris, and damaged water lines.
You can see all of the rocks, left about 3 feet of rocks.
Alex Campbell took this cell phone video of how close his Hampton home is to a creek that overflowed. Damage estimated around $50,000, equal to his yearly salary as a high school teacher at Elizabethton.
It's destroyed my roof, creased everything, pulled everything through the nails. There's water damage on the ceiling. It washed my shop away, washed it about 20 feet down off its foundation.
He tells me recovery relief he's seen is mostly by organizations and private citizens. applying for the government's help with FEMA, a lengthy and slow process.
I'm not going to wait on FEMA to come put my shop back on its foundation. So you just do it yourself.
After touring the area, Governor Bill Lee didn't want folks to wait for relief, Thursday announcing $100 million to help in Helene's aftermath for several counties, including Carter, where Campbell lives.
It is the interim strategy for them to cross that fiscal bridge.
It's definitely needed. I mean, I don't think people understand. People are walking in water strapped to their back, and they're walking it in with mules and horses because there is no road.
The HEAL program would cover a number of needs, like fixing the water and wastewater system, along with removing debris. Governor Lee says money for crumbling roads will be dealt with by existing money from TDOT.
I appreciate it. I really do.
The federal government is supposed to pay the state back for the money that is going to be spent. That money, the governor says, will also be used to help local agencies that are struggling financially to rebuild East Tennessee. Reporting live in Nashville, Karen Aguilar, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Well, there's still time for you to help out with the hurricane relief efforts. Fox 17 News partnering with the Salvation Army and our parent company, Sinclair Inc., to assist with relief efforts across the region. And thanks to viewers like you, so far more than $302,000 have come in since the start of the Sinclair Cares Hurricane Helene relief campaign. Sinclair is also donating $50,000, bringing the total to $352,000. Still time to help out. If you want, you can scan the QR code there on your screen or head to sinclaircares.com to donate. Thank you so much. Every dollar counts.
Well, we're looking at a quiet night ahead. I'm sitting here editing all the things because we have the Northern Lights that are happening in Middle Tennessee.
That's exciting.
I know.
Can we see them from here?
We can see them from here.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been getting a few pictures in. I'm trying to get them into the show, but it's just starting to trickle in now. So we'll showcase a few of them from a few folks that have sent them in. We'll start here with a live look on Broadway. I'm sure busy on a Thursday night, especially with the Preds home opener going on. As we take a look, temperatures sitting in the mid-60s at the moment with mainly clear skies. And for tonight, another chilly one as we drop back into the mid to upper 40s outside of city centers, right around 50 degrees here in town. As I mentioned, Northern Lights happening here in Nashville. In fact, I got a report in Mobile, Alabama, that they see the Northern Lights. And actually, I'll have the picture to share with you here coming up in just a little bit. So they are visible, but you want to get away from city lights if you can and allow your eyes to adjust. Night mode on your phone will enhance it. You can see a little bit better. You know, you're not going to see the brilliant stuff that you see lots of pictures up here in the Great Lake region, but we'll take what we can get, right? Because it's not normal, or at least not typical that we see them here as far south here in this latitude. Going into the next couple of days, our nice weather will continue. We will have a look at your weekend as well, including some college football matchups and the Titans game on Sunday. That's all in your Fox 17 Code Red forecast.
I think the community needs to understand what it is to have a language barrier and what that implies.
Not a crisis in the classroom. Growing concerns tonight about the impact of migrant families in Tennessee schools. With new rules on how students qualify for English as a second language, some educators say their limited resources are stretched too thin. Fox 17 News' Caitlin Miller shows us the challenges.
The ESL teacher that we spoke with today says that the number of ESL students in their district has doubled over the last year, with a huge influx in kindergartners. Now, this teacher is blaming the new testing system.
Diana Perez with Conexión Americas has 2 young children in school. Her son had to go through the ESL testing process. Perez emphasizes it's important for the state and school districts to understand what's it like to have a language barrier, especially at such a young age.
Think about not being able to communicate well in a language. That's just a challenge to integrate socially, to make friends. It just makes it hard to adjust overall.
Perez explains the testing process for her son was challenging for her family, and she's fluent in both English and Spanish.
The school system I went through was completely different in another country. And I, as a mom that didn't went through that, this system need the resources.
Fox 17 News spoke with an ESL teacher who wishes to remain anonymous. And this teacher says the reason there's such an influx in kindergartners is because the state changed its test to qualify for ESL resources.
They're tested in listening, reading, speaking, and writing. And in the past, when we used WIDA, they were only tested in the first semester in listening and speaking.
The ESL teacher says this test is difficult for a native English speaker in kindergarten. So they explain some of the students are in the program that shouldn't be, making it difficult on their short-staffed ESL teachers.
They're scattered out amongst classes, so it's hard to put yourself in one place, where they're all at, because they're scattered around in different classrooms. So it's hard. It's really stretching us thin.
They add, making it hard to get the one-on-one time with the students who need it the most.
Perez says moving forward, there needs to be more cultural competency and better communication with parents so that they can understand what's going on with their child in their native language. Reporting from North Nashville, I'm Caitlin Miller, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Crisis in the Classroom is Fox 17 News' commitment to exposing problems in our schools and finding solutions. If you have a story that you think we should cover, send us an email to news@fox17.com. You can also call our tip line at 615-266-4149. Well, the money is there, so why is nothing happening? What's stalling safety improvements in South Nashville? And sparking controversy, the issue some leaders have with former President Trump's message on immigration.
We don't need any more studies. We need to get serious about these improvements.
Continuing coverage tonight surrounding a dangerous stretch of road in South Nashville. A 10-year-old girl died in a bike lane over the weekend, reigniting calls for change. Fox 17 News' Kylie Walker did some digging and found there's actually money set aside for safety improvements there.
Witnesses report that the hit-and-run driver sped down this bike lane right behind me, resulting in the tragic death of the 10-year-old girl. Now, during my time reporting out here on this incident, I had lots of locals come up to me expressing their concerns of the dangers of this stretch of Nolensville Pike and the immediate need for change. A lack of sidewalks, unprotected bike lanes, and speeding drivers continue to haunt those who live and work along Nolensville Pike.
People trying to get around either in the middle lane or the bicycle lane.
You got these guys speeding in these souped up cars that just fly down this lane.
Last year, Metro secured $13 million in federal funds to improve the 2.5-mile stretch between McCall Street and Haywood Lane.
We were granted it last December, and the holdup has, for the most part, been waiting on the feds to actually give us the money, and now we're in the process of finalizing things with the contractor.
Metro Council member Courtney Johnston announced the funds will be used for additional lighting to create safe sidewalk connections and improve intersections. All this following an NDOT study that highlighted these urgent needs.
We don't need any more studies. We need to get serious about these improvements.
Adam Nicholson of Transit Now Nashville calls for immediate solutions in the meantime. Nicholson advocates for barriers to protect pedestrians and cyclists in bike lanes while waiting for the grant-funded construction.
They're walking in ditches, they're walking on the shoulder of the road. Sometimes they're walking in a bike lane or riding a scooter or bicycling or in a wheelchair.
Johnston says immediate solutions are not off the table.
Whether it's temporary, very quickly, or long-term, I think all of those options are on the table.
Johnston believes infrastructure isn't the only issue. She also seeks greater accountability for jaywalking and speeding. That's why she'll work with MMPD to boost enforcement in the area. For that full study on Nolensville Pike, we're going to have this on our website, fox17.com, in case you want to check it out. For now, reporting in South Nashville, Kylie Walker, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Wow, what a phenomenon, the Northern Lights, and we're getting pictures and reports. You can see it from here.
Yeah. You can see it all over Middle Tennessee. I had a report from around the Mobile Bay area in Alabama and the Gulf of Mexico.
Wow.
My mind is blown right now. This is a great picture sent in by Nicholas Goodrich. He's in Dover this evening. A couple folks I talked to quite a bit on Twitter, they're out aurora chasing tonight, in fact. So they're going to some great spots and getting some phenomenal pictures here. This one again in Dover, and here's another one that he took near the fort, in fact, in Dover as well. Check that out. Isn't that gorgeous? Yeah. It's going to be a great night, and the weather could not be more perfect for viewing this evening. And I just got a new alert that we're now in a severe level for our geomagnetic storm, so the activity is increasing. So I would expect that these northern lights will be around for the next couple of hours here in portions of Middle Tennessee, so you might want to go take a look. Nice weather will continue for us. The weekend is looking great, and our dry pattern looks to continue for a while. Temperature around 64 with sunshine at 10, up to around 77 with sunshine by 2, and we'll keep skies mainly sunny as we go through the afternoon and early evening hours. Mainly clear skies as we go through the evening and into tomorrow. You can see that, of course, Milton is no more. High pressure in control keeps the sky mainly sunny all the way through not only Friday, but Saturday and looks like Sunday as well. We do have a front that'll be coming through for Sunday into Monday. This is going to actually be a big cold front, not in the way of rain, but actually colder air. Much colder air expected to arrive, which will put temperatures only in the 60s as we head through next week. And that's where we could end up with some patchy frost for some as we head towards the middle of the week here. So here in Nashville, we're looking at temperatures in the mid 60s. For Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, even Monday will be in the mid 60s. Overnight lows dropping into the 40s here in town. Now outside of city centers, we could easily be in those mid to upper 30s, and that's where I think we have a little bit better chance of seeing some of that frost that'll be with us as we head through the middle of the week. We'll walk you through forecast across all of Middle Tennessee as far as the chilly weather is concerned, and a little later on too, we'll talk more about the football forecast going on for the weekend. Does include TSU homecoming. We'll have all of that in your Fox 17 Code Red forecast.
The former president highlighting Venezuelan gang members with a visit to a small city in Colorado. I'm Christine Frizzau in Washington with his plans and what critics are doing to fight back.
On the campaign trail, former President Trump continues to highlight illegal immigration concerns. But Mr. Trump's latest claims about a city in Colorado has leaders there firing back. Fox 17 News' Christine Frizzau explains the controversy.
The now viral video sparked fears about what small-town gang violence, allegedly from members of a Venezuelan street gang, could mean for the country at large. A country that's seen record migration from people fleeing poverty and violence, and in some rare cases, bringing violence here.
Little cities and towns all over the country are being invaded, but the ones that aren't, they're just as scared because they know it's going to happen.
Former President Donald Trump now heading to Aurora, Colorado for a rally to highlight an issue that's been central to all three of his presidential campaigns: illegal immigration. His campaign characterizing Aurora as a, quote, war zone. The city's mayor, Mike Kaufman, calling concerns about Venezuelan gang activity, quote, grossly exaggerated, sharing a photo of the high-end venue where Trump will be speaking. But Texas is also dealing with the Venezuelan gang. Over the weekend, San Antonio police arrested 20 people, including 4 confirmed Tren de Aragua members.
We had information that members of the transnational gang, Tren de Aragua, were in control of the area and committing various crimes. One TDA member is a confirmed enforcer for that gang.
Critics say the intense focus on the negatives of immigration is purely political, that immigrants have helped the economy by filling jobs, and that when given the chance to help fix the immigration system, Republicans were pressured to not back a border bill considered one of the toughest ever crafted by Congress.
Donald Trump got word of it and told them don't put the bill up for a vote because he didn't want a solution, because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem.
Colorado leaders planning to, quote, slam Trump ahead of his rally Friday, arguing Trump's divisive rhetoric about migrants is bad for the country and democracy. I'm Christine Frizzau reporting.
The economy is still a top issue for voters. I'm Atra Al-Nashar with a look at one of the last inflation reports before Election Day.
And potential political violence, the danger ahead of the presidential election. In the economy tonight, the latest inflation numbers are out. As Fox 17 News' Atra El-Nashar shows us, the new look at prices could sway voters on Election Day.
A fresh read on inflation shows prices continue to stabilize, but what Americans are paying for necessities is still, for many, too high for comfort. The 12-month consumer inflation rate dropped slightly to 2.4% in September, thanks in large part to a drop in energy prices. But the cost of housing and food still higher than anyone wants to see. Members of the Federal Reserve watching all of this closely as they decide when and by how much to cut interest rates again.
The overall trend over 12, 18 months is clearly that inflation has come down a lot. The hardest thing that the central bank has to do is to try to get the timing right when there's these moments of transition.
The Fed also cautious of what's going on with the job market. New weekly jobless claims Thursday came in at 258,000, higher than expected, though experts say that's likely a reflection of the effects of Hurricane Helene. On the campaign trail, both presidential candidates zeroing in on the issue.
The only way to end this suffering is to vote for change this November.
Former President Trump trying to capitalize on the sentiment behind polls like this one from CNN, showing 50% of likely voters have more confidence in Trump to handle the economy compared to 39% who trust Vice President Harris.
Foreign leaders and CEOs call me up to complain about our tariffs. My answer will be very simple. Build it in America. You don't have any tariffs.
Harris emphasizes data showing the economy is strong and points to warnings about her opponent's plans if he wins.
My econ policies, Goldman Sachs, the 16 Nobel laureates will tell you that my plans will strengthen our economy. Donald Trump's plans would weaken our economy, would inflate inflation, and would bring a recession on by the middle of next year.
More economic data is on the way. We'll get fresh reads on inflation, jobs, and wages over the 5 days leading up to Election Day on November 5th. In Washington, I'm Atra El-Nashar.
We're down now to the final weeks before Election Day, and with political discourse on full display and tensions running high, the FBI is expressing heightened concerns about the possibility of extremist violence after 2 assassination attempts on former President Trump and the arrest of an Afghan man after a foiled Election Day terror attack. Former FBI agent and cybersecurity expert Scott Augenbaum joins us now. And Scott, how close of a call was this?
I think this was a really serious thing that happened. And we have to thank the men and women of the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force, which is made up of a lot of local and state agencies. These people are working all the time to make sure they're catching the bad guys.
Well, the FBI has said that it has seen so many different threats elevated at once during this election cycle. Does that compare to any other time in history?
This is a crazy time. I'm glad I'm retired. These people, my colleagues are working round the clock. I've never seen something like this before.
What would you say to Americans that are fearful right now?
Well, luckily, the FBI and state and local law enforcement are working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to keep the country safe.
All right. Scott Augenbaum, thank you so much for coming in tonight.
Thank you.
And we want to know what you think. Are you worried about politically motivated violence ahead of the presidential election? This poll is live right now. 656 votes have come in. And you know what? Most people say yes. 59.9. So almost 60% say yes. 40% say no. This poll still live. To cast your vote, you can scan the QR code there on your screen. You can also find it by our handle, which is @Fox Nashville. In the economy, Social Security recipients can expect to get a smaller cost of living boost. Starting in January, millions who get Social Security payments will now get a 2.5% living increase in their monthly checks. Based on cost of living adjustments, this translates to about $50 on average. About 72.5 million people get Social Security benefits. An annual trustee report from May said the program won't be able to pay full benefits beginning in 2035.
I want to start with this photo. This is out back of our studio here. Our executive producer, Sarah Shiverdecker, just took this picture outside our station. You can see the purple tint of the Northern Lights right here in Nashville. And this is actually, too, with a lot of light pollution here at the station as well. So they are vibrant this evening with a severe geomagnetic storm underway right now. And will likely continue off and on throughout the evening tonight. We take a look here, shift gears a little bit and talk a little more about fall foliage, because we're getting to that point where we will start to see those leaves change. We've seen a little bit of it already, and unfortunately with all the dry weather that we've had, I'm hoping for some vibrant color, but I don't know. We've really had a lot of dry weather, a little bit of wet weather with it, but a lot of dry weather. It may dull the colors a little bit here, but what we've got so far in Tennessee right now, little color for the most part here. So we will, I'd say over the next couple of weeks, start to see more of that change. And it may be pretty quick too, given our weather pattern over the past few months. And we'll be looking at little color even out towards the mountains, a little bit more, we'll call it moderate color as we get into the Smokies. So with that, I know over the next few weeks, weekend trips to the Smokies become pretty big. They are open. You'll just want to check the National Park website because there are still several closures due to Helene impacts. So just make sure that you are checking everything before you head out. But this weekend is looking good if you plan on doing some hiking out there. Temperatures in the Gatlinburg area around 76 Saturday, 81 on Sunday, both days sunny, just like it'll be here. We'll talk more about the football forecast for some of our area teams, including the Titans, coming up. A lot more ahead than just the Colts. The special celebration for one Titan and a dangerous trend, the new move to combat teen vaping.
Hey there, I'm Fox 17 News This Morning anchor Erica Glover. The Predators kicking off their season tonight here at home, and we're going to be bringing you all the big plays and of course the highlights from night one. We'll have all the action Friday on Fox 17 News This Morning.
The Tennessee Titans have been busy getting ready for the Indianapolis Colts this weekend, and one player has been busy becoming a new dad. Titans wide receiver Treylon Burks and his wife Shelby welcomed a little girl on Tuesday. He says he's very excited to be a father and even feels different at practice today. Burks also said the team congratulated him and a couple players welcomed him to the Girl Dad Club.
Oh, for sure. I would just say I'm more anxious. I'm ready to get back to her now, so we just take it slow and see how it goes. I feel different. I'm not lying. Like I do feel like, I'm just up and antsy. So.
The Titans kick off against the Colts Sunday at noon at Nissan Stadium. Looking ahead to Friday in Major League Baseball action, we've got Game 5 of the NLDS with San Diego taking on LA. That game starts at 6 p.m. And we have a change-up in programming tomorrow because of the MLB game between San Diego and LA. After the game, you can watch the Fox 17 News, then catch a special late edition of Fox 17 Football Frenzy Live. On Saturday, we shift gears to college football. Washington takes on Iowa. That game's at 11. Then at 3 o'clock, it's Arizona against BYU. And at 7, watch Iowa State take on West Virginia. Then Sunday, we have an NFL doubleheader. Arizona takes on Green Bay at noon. That's followed by Detroit at Dallas at 3. Coming up, we'll talk more about our college football forecast along with the Preds, or I should say the Titans. And we'll have more on our frost potential going into next week. And keeping kids away from the vapes, the new strategy to end this dangerous trend. Tennessee has the most vape users nationwide. That's according to a new report from Forbes Advisor. And the number of unauthorized flavored vape products being marketed toward young people has some lawmakers pushing for tighter regulations. Correspondent Lisa Fletcher takes a closer look in tonight's Spotlight on America.
Tobacco smoking has all but gone away among America's youth. But there's real concern that a slickly marketed new offender will form a new generation of addicts.
These are being intentionally designed to get kids addicted. They want kids addicted.
According to new data, nearly 8% of high school students use e-cigarettes, and nearly 90% of them use a flavored product. While the numbers declined, years-long concerns still exist. We highlighted kid-friendly, fruity-flavored vapes back in 2022, when they were supposed to be banned for good. But in just the last few weeks, our cameras uncovered flavors like rainbow, sour apple ice, and lemonade still for sale right out in the open at stores in the D.C. area. Putting a fun-filled spin on a sinister reality, says Jim Carroll, former director of the White House Office of National Drug Control Policy.
These pens that look innocent or they sound like candy, they're not. They're dangerous, they're not regulated, they're not inspected. They can have hundreds of times of the amount of nicotine that they should have.
Some have reportedly contained heavy metals, even the deadly substance fentanyl. Others have caused serious health problems. And it's not just the fruity flavors attracting kids. New age vape devices we found online mirror cell phones, have Bluetooth, and come preloaded with digital games. Others are disguised to look like a common highlighter, and they're flooding the market from China.
China has banned flavored e-cigarettes, yet they make them and sell them here in the United States. What does that tell you?
Chinese government is not a friend to the United States. Let there be no mistake. They know exactly what they're doing by sending these dangerous products to the U.S. They're wiping out an entire generation.
Right under the nose of our federal government, as pointed out in a heated congressional hearing this summer.
Do something. What in the hell have you been waiting for?
FDA and Department of Justice officials grilled for inaction that lawmakers say could have wiped these products out of the hands of kids years ago.
Take a look at this photo. It was taken by my staff just a few days ago at a vape shop less than 1 mile removed from the FDA's headquarters. Not a single one of these products has been authorized by the FDA. None of them.
The FDA told us that it has rejected more than 26 million new tobacco product applications and issued more than 1,300 warning letters to makers and sellers of illegal vapes. So far, the agency has fined 230 retailers. This summer, the FDA partnered with the Department of Justice, promising its new task force will aggressively address the illegal distribution and sale of vapes.
What do you think is going to happen as a result of that?
It was a great headline. I haven't seen any action yet, so I'm anxious for them to really start cracking down, making arrests, and getting these products off the streets.
For Spotlight on America, I'm Lisa Fletcher.
Well, despite hundreds of warning letters sent from the FDA, the agency says that it's up to the Department of Justice to bring lawsuits against offending companies. Looking ahead to this weekend on Full Measure, a look at the documentary We Will Not Be Silenced, focusing on allegations of COVID-era censorship from London Real podcaster Brian Rose.
Asking questions about masks and distancing and even talking about the V word, the vaccine. We were one of the very early people to be broadcast and then censored by YouTube.
This week on Full Measure, a closer look at the London Real's YouTube censorship claims and the documentary about it. You can see more of this story on Full Measure Sunday morning at 7:30 right here on Fox 17. Well, Katie, I'm getting all sorts of pictures coming in on the Northern Lights.
I know it is
so many different parts of our viewing area.
It's incredible, really. The rarity to see the Northern Lights here in Tennessee, it's pretty real. But the past year or two, we have just had a lot more activity here, and that has just been due to the this solar cycle that we're in. I talked with someone from the Space Weather Prediction Center about a month ago about this activity that is peaking right now, and this is one of the reasons why we are seeing more activity this far south. This picture was sent in by one of my friends, Andrew Leeper, in Alabama this evening. He's visiting, I'm sure, on fall break, Fort Morgan, Alabama. This is near Mobile. In fact, this is Mobile off in the distance that you can see here. The Northern Lights have been spotted as far south as the Gulf of Mexico. I've seen reports of them in Florida, in the Bahamas even. So again, the fact that we are seeing them this far south is quite incredible, but all due to the fact that we are dealing with a severe geomagnetic storm right now. As far as college football forecast goes, we switch gears here. Temperatures looking good. UT taking on Florida in Knoxville will be around 72. It's a night game. These are all Central times, by the way. Vanderbilt will be in Kentucky in Lexington Lots of sunshine there and temperatures in the low 70s at kickoff, and then of course mainly clear skies for the evening. TSU homecoming this weekend. Eastern Illinois, sunshine here. Nashville, we'll see temperatures in the upper 70s, low 80s for folks that are headed to SEMO, and that's where Tennessee Tech is playing in Cape Girardeau. So we'll be looking at some good weather for football, not only for college, but for the Titans as well. We're looking at sunshine throughout the day here for the Colts game. Actually, we'll call it hot. It'll be a little toasty, especially with full sunshine, not much cloud cover. And I don't think we're going to be looking at a lot of wind either. So we'll be a bit on the toasty side with those mid to upper 80s. As we get into next week, that cool down is coming. It does look like it'll be frosty for some. As we head into the middle of the week, temperatures will likely be in the 60s for the afternoon and then overnight dropping into those 30s. So as we take you through Wednesday, starting off in the upper 30s early Wednesday morning, and then getting into Wednesday night, early Thursday morning, you can see again that here in town, we may or may not see some of that frost. The way it's looking right now, we may just miss out on it. But outside of city centers, I think is going to be where we have a better shot at seeing some pretty chilly conditions here, and that'll likely be for a few days before we start to see a little bit of a warming trend going into the beginning of next weekend. So this is looking about a week out from now. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. Temperatures again in those 80s through the weekend. Big cool down thanks to a front coming through on Monday. This again will not have any rain attached to it. We stay dry. It's looking like maybe through next weekend, possibly Sunday, Monday, the potential for some showers.
An update now on our Fox 17 viewer poll, which asked, are you worried about politically motivated violence ahead of the presidential election? 667 votes have come in on this issue tonight, and 60.3% of respondents say yes, 39.7% say no. There's still time to vote. You can scan the QR code there on your screen. It will take you over to our X page. Our handle's at Fox Nashville. And we'll show you another update on these numbers tonight on Fox 17 News at 10. Garth Brooks on the offensive, his latest move following sexual assault allegations. And Tennessee native Morgan Wallen helping those impacted by Helene, the difference that he's making tonight. New tonight, Garth Brooks creating controversy by amending his countersuit against a hair and makeup artist accusing him of rape. Garth Brooks' legal team using the woman's real name in a new filing. They argue that by naming Brooks in her lawsuit, there's no reason to follow a motion to keep both parties anonymous. Fox 17 News does not reveal the name of people claiming to be victims of sexual assault. Garth Brooks' complaint includes several accusations, including attempted extortion, defamation, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. New tonight, one person is dead and 12 others remain trapped inside a Colorado gold mine. Crews say the elevator shaft malfunctioned. First responders rescued 11 people, including 2 children, from the elevator, but 11 other tourists and 1 mine staffer are stuck 1,000 feet down. The sheriff says the trapped group is safe with drinking water, chairs, and blankets. Making sure those impacted by Helene are not forgotten. How Morgan Wallen is helping out. Country star Morgan Wallen making sure first responders know that they're appreciated. The East Tennessee native visited with those helping battle back from Helene. Morgan Wallen also helped collect supplies for Second Harvest Food Bank. Comedian Theo Vaughn and University of Tennessee's baseball coach Tony Vitello helped out.
Disaster response turning political. I'm Kayla Gaskins in Washington with how the recent hurricanes are impacting the presidential election.
It is a national program known as Mended Hearts, and volunteers are making a huge difference. I'm Liz Bonus. We're going to show you how it's changing lives just ahead.
This is Fox 17 News at 10, your Code Red station.
Underwater from Hurricane Milton, dumping 16 inches of rain in St. Petersburg, Florida alone. The Sunshine State battered by fierce winds and storm surge, even tornadoes leaving storm debris littered across neighborhoods in the storm.